And we are very pleased to be joined by James Brown, the host of NFL Today, as well as a special correspondent for CBS News. JB, you are being honored tonight with the Partner in Hope Award for Partners in Women in Justice. And more than anything, I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Pleased to be here with you and Mrs. Hanson. And I typically am uncomfortable accepting awards, so forgive me if I attempt a little bit of levity here, saying I'm a little too dark to blush, but I appreciate the offer and the award quite a bit.
JB, let me take you back to September 2014. It is just after the Ray Rice story has broken. You have a Thursday night football telecast, a huge national platform, and you choose to address domestic violence.
Hey, look, let me just coattail on some of the points that you guys have made, because 2 years ago, I challenged the NFL community and all men to seriously confront the problem of domestic violence, especially coming on the heels of the murder-suicide of Kansas City Chiefs football player Jovan Belcher and his girlfriend Cassandra Perkins. Yet, here we are again, dealing with the same issue of violence against women. Now, let's be clear, this problem is bigger than football. There has been, appropriately so, intense and widespread outrage following the release of the video showing what happened inside the elevator at the casino. But wouldn't it be productive if this collective outrage, as my colleagues have said, could be channeled to truly hear and address the long-suffering cries for help by so many women? And as they said, do something about it, like an ongoing, comprehensive education of men about what healthy, respectful manhood is all about. And it starts with how we view women. Our language is important. For instance, when a guy says, you throw the ball like a girl, or you're a little sissy, it reflects an attitude that devalues women. And attitudes will eventually manifest in some fashion. Women have been at the forefront in the domestic violence awareness and prevention arena. And whether Janae Rice considers herself a victim or not, millions of women in this country are. Consider this, according to domestic violence experts, more than 3 women per day lose their lives at the hands of their partners. That means that since the night of February 15th in Atlantic City, more than 600 women have died. So this is yet another call to men to stand up and take responsibility for their thoughts, their words, their deeds, and as Dion says, to give help or to get help, because our silence is deafening and deadly.
Tell me a little bit about what went into that.
And Jim, I'm sure that you can relate to this as a colleague. I'm very judicious when to deliver commentaries. It's pretty rare unless something really moves me. And having been associated with the Verizon Foundation, 2 years of work with their domestic violence awareness and prevention program, it's a very sobering experience for me, getting a handle on how serious this problem is, how pervasive it is, and how it cuts across every spectrum of society. So I was very personally moved. And as you well know, it was a wonderful evening for us, because on Thursday Night Football, it was a nice partnership effort between CBS News, which was fronting the broadcast, if you will, and CBS Sports. So it was a great opportunity to work with your colleagues.
Let me ask you this, because you are an enormously popular figure, and a lot of people want to get you to talk about a lot of things. Why does domestic violence and combating domestic violence hold a special place in your heart?
Probably to coattail on my previous comment, I didn't realize how pervasive the problem was. Part of my training entailed me going to Austin, Texas, to sit in at the Domestic Hotline Center. And next door, there is a teenage hotline center. And when I put the headset on with the counselors, as they call predominantly the women who person the phones, if you will, and listened to some of the women calling in, it was so hurtful, so emotional. I felt their pain, their fear. I took the headset off after about 2 minutes and walked over to the window, and like a guy trying to turn my back to everyone, and I wept for a couple of minutes. It hurt me that badly. I talked with about 24 survivors of domestic violence, and to listen to their stories, how could you not be moved by that and to want to do something? So part of my work for those 2 years was to travel with some other men to go around and talk to coaches, because so many of us men, young boys, our DNA is such that we're wired not even aware of what our language is like and how the mindset that we have tends to devalue women even in the words that we use, the conversations that we engage in. And we got these football coaches to understand that. And on the football field, it's okay when you talk about attacking a problem and you've got to man up and you've got to break through. Very violent kinds of words and attitudes. And we wanted to make certain that men understood that. And also for coaches to help men understand what healthy manhood is all about. And it's valuing women, it's loving women, and they're equals.
And there,
Does that make sense?
Yes, and there'd probably be no better audience where you could get such a captive audience to hear this message than on a network NFL.
And it's pretty interesting, Jim and Ms. Hanson, in that, quite frankly, it didn't bother me whether people were to receive it well or not. I felt it from my heart, and that was the bottom line. And to say that men, because, well, Ms. Hanson would have a better handle on it than me, but minimally 80% of the perpetrators, of violence are men against women. Men are affected as well, too, but overwhelmingly men against women. And therefore, it only naturally follows that we play a significant, if not the majority role in addressing this.
Jane, as the founder and executive director of Partners, you have a sense of the numbers and quantifying this problem. Can you share with us the extent of the problem?
It's huge, and as you know, it cuts across all walks of life, all ethnicities, all economic levels. It's upwards of 1.2 million a year women who are abused in this country, and those are reported statistics, meaning probably uniform statistical reports, people who go to the police, but it's a vastly underreported crime.
However arresting those numbers are, it really isn't a full representation.
It's much more than that. And domestic violence is the leading cause of death among women aged 18 to 44 in this country. It's an astounding thought when you think about.
So clearly this is something we want to shine a light on, and this is an award that we're giving to someone who has a very big light and has chosen to shine it on this issue. So without any further ado, perhaps you can present this award to JB.
It's my pleasure, it's my honor to be sitting here next to you, to have seen you make that strong statement on national television, and to see you talk about and understand domestic violence and what it means to us and to women, and the role that men can play in preventing domestic violence for the next generation and generations to come. So it is my distinct honor to present you with this Partner in Hope Award from Partners for Women in Justice.
Ms. Hanson and Jim, I truly am honored and humbled by this. The stats that you gave are very sobering. You talked about the number of deaths, and that was probably the most poignant, the most important stat that I'd heard, how many women were losing their lives. And when you think about that over the course of a week or a month and how many already have, you know, that's an epidemic that we just can't allow and we should not be proud of. And I know I only spoke up, and certainly I'm trying to do in my own little sphere, if you will, be a positive influence in that. And I pray that more will jump on the bandwagon and make a meaningful impact. But thank you so very much.
James Brown, on behalf of Partners for Women in Justice, I want to thank you for the big light and your deep voice, and just to share with you the thought that I think all of us have, which is you do make the world a better place.
Jim Axelrod, thank you so very much. And even at a nuclear level, I was sharing with Ms. Hanson, one of the reasons I have such a high regard for you, aside from your professional competency, when I was on your show, you stopped the recording so he could talk to his daughter. And does that not make it very, very personal?
Absolutely.
JB, thanks again.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.